Hey everyone, Josh Stein here, and I wanted to make a video about uh, benefits of revealing. Revealing our present moment experience, our thoughts, our feelings, our sensations in the moment when we're with another person is a core part of authentic relating and circling, sharing impact, and is a very core part of what I teach here. And I wanted to just say a little bit about why I think it's important and how it can be helpful for you in your practice and in your relationships. I think it's something that can bring more, uh, more connection, more richness, more of a sense of possibility, and even more options when options sometimes seem limited when you're communicating with another person that with whom you feel safe enough, comfortable enough to take the risk of revealing yourself more, being vulnerable. So there's sort of two main areas in which I think it's useful. One is in the moment, and the other is over time when you make it a practice. In the moment, there's sort of two things that I see immediately where I think revealing yourself can be useful. One is it helps us get unstuck. This is especially important if we're in a position of leadership, if we're facilitating or holding space for someone. Um, there can be a tendency to want to put all our attention on the other person if there's anything coming up for us to just kind of put it aside, park it. But even when we're not holding space for other people, um, a lot of people do have a tendency, maybe out of people pleasing, maybe out of not wanting to rock the boat, not wanting to upset anyone, or just because it's too much of a social risk, they hold a lot of things back. And I don't think people really realize that when you hold parts of your experience back like that, when you try and push them into the closet, they still have an effect on your experience, and especially if you're in a position of care or leadership or holding space, it can affect your ability to actually be with the other person, to connect with them, to be present with them. Um, and oftentimes it's where I see facilitators, leaders, space holders getting stuck, is where they've got a lot going on in the background um, that they're not naming. Um, and it's like it's eating up a lot of their bandwidth in the moment. It's like they have to manage this thing over here, which, by the way, you may or may not be conscious of what you're holding back. You might have so much attention on the other person, or it might actually be a blind spot for you, but that's a whole other video or five. But having this thing in the background can actually take you away, can eat up a lot of bandwidth, can make it feel harder and harder and harder to actually be present with the person or people in front of you. So you may find yourself getting stuck, getting overwhelmed, or other things like dissociating, feeling distant, getting bored. There's a whole bunch of different things. And oftentimes I find, especially in containers where there's buy-in and agreement around being authentic and whatnot. We can make another video about setting expectations and context around that. But I've found that for myself in my own practice, my own facilitation and my own relating practice, and also with a lot of my clients, having them reveal themselves in connection can actually help undam, so to speak, and help them get unstuck, so that they can be more present and more in connection. And it enhances the connection because connection is sort of it takes two to tango. I think some of us fool ourselves into thinking that we can just lean in and be with the other and just hold space for them and have them feel really good, and then that's connection. But if you're not including yourself in that picture, then that's something that people sometimes call merging, and that's a very different thing. And I don't think it's a very sustainable way of being with another person. So bringing yourself in is really important, and um, being revealing helps you actually like check in what's going on for me, which actually helps you become more aware of yourself. So energetically, for lack of a better word, you're including yourself in the dynamic. But also you're giving the other person something to engage with as well. And you might be surprised that what you have to share may actually be more meaningful to the other person uh, than you thought, which sort of brings me into the second part of reasons to reveal in the moment. Um, is that it's something, there's a phenomenon called limbic resonance or empathic resonance, where it seems that for one reason or another, biologically, our brains are actually wired to attune to other brains and other people's emotional experience. Um, and so if you're experiencing something that you're holding back, that's affecting your experience, it's not unlikely that the person in front of you or people with you actually know that something's going on with you. They might not be able to name it, they might not be consciously aware of it, but they might be as well. They might be able to sense that something's going on with you, something's maybe off. And so naming it in the moment can help. It can be kind of crazy making to sense that something's going on with someone else and they're not, and they're pretending like it's not happening. So by naming it, that can help create a little bit more safety in their experience, a little more trust in you. But also the other way around, if you're a sensitive person like myself, you may be able to sense what's going on in the person in front of you, or people in front of you. And there's a chance that what you're experiencing may be something that you're just bringing in. People say my own stuff, but it's not unlikely that what you're experiencing may also be in relation to, you may actually be picking up on what's going on within someone else. And sometimes it may be even be to the degree that the other person, maybe they're holding it back, and they don't think it's allowed for them to share, or it's something that they're not even aware of. Like maybe they're feeling angry or they're feeling sad, and when you share that, you notice you're feeling angry or sad. Not only does it give them permission to have that experience, but sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, I didn't even realize I'm also feeling this." Um, so we can actually use limbic resonance to our benefit, and we can, especially if we're doing authentic relating or circling facilitation, it can actually be very useful information. But even outside of those contexts, um, we are, these highly attuned beings that can. Sometimes the experiences that seem random or just my own thing um, might actually be really relevant to the person in front of you. And I would encourage you to practice and let yourself be surprised. Now, the other reason why I think it's important to reveal is that over the long term, if you make revealing a practice, it can actually, like going to the gym, it can strengthen you. You can build capacities over time. Um, through, for instance, through doing it, through taking risks and seeing that you're still alive, that something didn't blow up, which isn't guaranteed, but things will probably blow up less often than you think. Which may take some skillful means as well to reduce blowups, but that again is another video. You can build your courage and your resilience, which can make it easier the next time and the next time and the next time. As the more you practice, the easier it gets. And related to that, you can this practice of undamming. In the moment, we can kind of undam, but then things kind of get clogged up again, so to speak. When we practice over time, we start to sort of release things that we've been holding on to for a long time, or we don't normally give ourselves permission. We don't feel like we're allowed to share. And over time, it clears up the pipes, and we just have more space within ourselves to be present with ourselves, to be present with others, which makes us just more available, and which makes us more likely to feel open, more likely to have more curiosity, more creativity, more access to all those good things, and a deeper ability to actually connect with the other person. You can also by making this a practice, um, if you're bringing a lot of attention, a lot of presence to yourself, if you're doing this in a safe container where you can take these risks and slowing down, you can actually, there's a lot to say about this, isn't there? You can actually build more awareness of what's going on within yourself. If you're not normally like just merging with the other person or losing yourself in connection, you can be like, oh, I didn't even realize that I'm experiencing this. And you can also build more awareness of the places where you're holding back, or maybe you didn't even realize why you were holding back or that you were holding back. And that awareness can be invaluable in your own personal growth and ability to improve your ability um, to be with other people. And the other thing about it is um, you're building core connection muscles. I think the practice of revealing, and the way I like to teach revealing is revealing yourself and then asking for impact. Like, oh, I notice I feel kind of distracted. What's that like to hear? And then allowing the other person, soliciting that impact so that you can create sort of a feedback loop of connection in the moment. It can be really useful. Um, but through practicing that, putting attention on self, bringing it back to the other, putting attention on self, bringing it back to the other, you're actually building like the foundational core muscles of human connection and relating. And the more you do that, the easier it gets to um, come into real contact with another person because you've built those muscles where you're not merging and you're not um, uh, the opposite of merging is what sometimes people may call captive audience, or just getting so sort of involved in your own experience that you forget about the people in front of you. Um, Building those muscles of being able to be with both yourself and the other at the same time is core if you want to really reach the depths of what can be possible in your leadership, in your facilitation, in your holding space for people, um, in your close, intimate relationships. It is so important to be able to do both these two things at the same time. So I think that's everything on my list. So to recap, there's benefits for doing this in the moment. It can help you get unstuck. It can help you come back into connection with the other person and what you share because of something called limbic resonance, and for other reasons as well. But what you share may actually be more meaningful to the person or people you're with than you think, and that can be useful for the connection to have that information kind of out in the open and to be able to talk about it or explore it. And then in the long term, when you make it a practice, you're building your connection muscles, you're building your courage, your resilience, and you're increasing your bandwidth, which allows you to just have more of your facilities online, more ability to actually just be at your full potential, so to speak, when you're with people, which in my mind helps you be more of a contribution to the people around you without really needing to try as hard. Just through your very presence, because you've built up that connection with yourself and that awareness and that ability to be with the intensity and to be with self and other and to take those risks, it can be a real service to people. There's a lot more I could say about a lot of these topics. If you want me to make a video on any of those topics, if you have a particular question, something that's unclear, or something related to this that you would love to learn more about, make a comment in the comments and I'll take note of it, and I may make a video about that topic to answer your question. If you like these videos, if you find it helpful, as I said, you can leave a comment. You can just say, I found this helpful. It's great. Thank you. I like that stuff as well. But if you're on YouTube, you can hit subscribe. You can hit the little bell icon. Apparently that tells you when I make new videos, if you're into that. I actually don't turn notifications on my subscriptions, but some people, you might find that nice. And if you want to learn more about what I'm up to, there's some links in the description of the YouTube video for my newsletter and Facebook group and all that jazz. Got a lot of stuff brewing right now, so check it out, and I'll see you in my next video. Okay, thank you.